what you did. It was fair for you.
Oh, you can drop it. I just, as long as you understand my point, I'm not.
I mean,
I don't want to beat the drum.
I didn't try to.
I'm not here to beat the drum. If you got, all I want you to do is understand the point I'm making. If you say you understand the point, I'm fine with that. We don't have to carry it any further.
I understand your point.
We don't have to carry it any further.
Let me just ask you a question.
So your turn.
Okay, let me just ask you this question. Have you ever heard of Satan being called the god of this system of things, or the god of the earth?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so Satan is the god of this world. Satan is the god of this world.
Age.
Huh?
I'm sorry, I don't want to interject. Go ahead.
Yeah, so...
No, you can interject.
I just wanted to correct you. The word's eon, and it means age. So he has a finite amount of time when it's referring to God. It's not talking about, you know, it's what he was talking about before. But I didn't want to interject. I want to get off that point. Go ahead.
So let me ask you this question about
So
that
all I'm
statement.
saying-
Are you saying that Satan is a legitimate God?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
God of this system.
He's the god of this system of things.
Okay, so that would again tell us that Jehovah is actually being either misleading or lying to us,
No, see, Jehovah is
deceiving us when he says, "Before me there was no God, and after me there will be none." So Jehovah is saying that before me there was no God, and after me there's no God, and you're saying Satan's a God, a legitimate God, and therefore that tells us that Jehovah here in Isaiah 43:10 through 13 is lying to us.
I get your point. I get your point.
Can I help you with your point?
Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, you can make a god out of anything. You can make a god out of your belly.
Of course.
They made gods out of wood, stone,
Right.
and so on and so forth.
Right.
Satan is a creation of God, but he is not God. Okay? He is a creation of God. Now, people, you can make a god out of anything by worshiping it. Okay? But he's not a legitimate God. Okay? So therefore, we would exclude Satan being a problem with Isaiah 43:10 through 13. But no, I'm just telling you, I'm helping you out here. That's the only way it can be dealt with. Now, but that doesn't get us out of the problem with Jesus, because I got you to say it, but of course you can back off it anytime you want. But I got you to say it to begin with. That Jesus was a legitimate God. See, Satan's not a legitimate God.
Right.
Okay. Now Christians, that Daniel believes Jesus is a legitimate God. Okay. The New World Translation in John chapter 1 verse 1 would portray Jesus as a legitimate God. And when I asked you when he became a legitimate God, before the world was, that makes he's a legitimate God, which means that Jehovah would have been aware of the fact that he was a legitimate God, which means that in Isaiah 43:10 through 13, Jehovah would be lying to us.
Well, no,
Then when he said that before me there was no God formed, and there will be none after me.
Right, but Jehovah was referring to the superlative sense as being God, as being the creator, whereas Satan is a lesser God.
And we're not talking. I'm not talking. He's not a God by nature, because otherwise he'd be contradicting what Jehovah says. See, this is, with all due respect, this is why I consider myself a true Jehovah Witness, because I'm saying, I don't mean to be demeaning to you, but I just flat have to stick with the words of Jehovah.
Okay.
You know, and if I'm going to beat a drum, somebody can beat a drum over here on tongues. Somebody else can say, "Oh, once saved, always saved," and somebody can say, "We don't celebrate Christmas," and we can beat all these drums we want. Right. Okay, but I'm saying the drum I beat, the preeminent drum I beat, is the words of Jehovah himself. Okay. And you can argue with, you or anybody else can argue with me all they want, but I'm simply saying he didn't stutter. He says, "Before me there was no God, and there will be none after me."
Like himself, no God like himself.
Pardon me, it doesn't say like himself.
Well, you have to understand the context.
Jesus was, okay, let me say this to you. Okay, now let's just stick with that point right there. Let's slow down for a second.
Yeah, let's slow down.
Because the counter that you're making now is like himself.
No, Almighty.
No, wait a second. That's what he's saying. He says like himself. So, let's hold off here.
Yeah,